Yeah, well, I mean, I know his family was. We went to visit like his whole family for like a reunion like one time, and I just remember everybody was just like drunk the whole time. Like they
Yeah.
definitely all struggled with alcohol. But I think for me, the alcohol thing was a lot of just like the military environment because that's the only thing you can do in the military is drink alcohol. And so that's like anytime people got off work, it was just like let's go get shit faced until we can't anymore because we have work the next day. And so that environment, like as soon as I turned 21, it was like, oh, we have an excuse to go get blackout drunk tonight. And then like right away, I'm just like doing that all the time with my coworkers. So
How's it going, everybody? This is Real Men Talk Shit. It's 1:48. Holy God. It's been forever, it feels like, and I'm just drained. I feel like I've done nothing, and it's been months, but it's only been a week. Verlis, how's it going, bud?
I am very tired because Elden Ring DLC and Pal World Update are coming out at the same time. Elden Ring DLC is the 21st, Pal World Update's 27th. So I've been trying to do as much content as I can before then, which is why I'm very tired. And I was late to showing up to the podcast. And yeah, G
And
Fuel.
meetings and everything else. G Fuel keeps us running. We got Danny Dorito, speaking of G Fuel. How's it going, Danny?
it's going. Yeah, I got the wall of G Fuel behind me.
Hey, at least you're 100% showcasing the brand. I'm gonna put something in chat, but it's crazy that G Fuel sends that many things. I love them so much now. But
Yeah.
when I joined, they treated me like everybody else did. Everybody else was being treated, and I was like, "Wait, guys, I'm just, I'm just Hot Load Zach. That's all I am." They're like, "No, you're a creator," and that was so interesting. But shout out to G Fuel. Use any of our codes. Use code RMTS at checkout for 20% off.
Yeah, they give me more tubs than I know what to do with at some point. Because, caffeine, you can't have too much of it or it's really bad. That's why you take the recommended dosage according to G Fuel. 140 milligrams a scoop. Know your limit and all that other fun stuff. But I can't drink 10 cups a day. That's bad. But I need to with how much they send me. You need to drink more. Look at all that back there.
Yeah, I can't
You need
even
to drink more. What are you talking about? That's crazy. I drink 3 cups a day.
Have you guys tried the hydration?
They just sent me some. I was going to try that out. I need caffeine. I only care about the caffeine.
Yeah.
But the hydration's an interesting one.
I got the hydration stuff for my kids, actually. It was nice.
That's actually a good idea, yeah.
Yeah.
Our guy's like, "Oh, wait, you have kids? Let me send some of this stuff." So I was like, "Okay, I'll try this and I'll try that." And I was like, "Okay." Yeah, it was really nice. I was like, "Yeah."
Fuck.
So I'm stocked. I have like 30 tubs. Can I get, hydration stuff then? If you're trying to send me stuff, we might as well. But that was cool. They're like, "Yeah, we'll take care of the kids. We'll take care of you." I was like, "Damn, you guys are getting all the plugs, not only in school, but out of school too."
Also, it's really nice for the hydration because some people just don't drink caffeine. So it's like, here you go. You can still have the same great flavors.
I don't know how anybody can not drink caffeine. I feel so much better and so much more of a human on caffeine than I do without it. It's crazy.
Which is kind of weird because, a lot of people with ADHD, they say, oh, I drink caffeine and it makes me tired or it doesn't make me feel as good.
I can drink a full cup of G Fuel and take a nap or go to sleep, and I will sleep better on caffeine than off of caffeine.
Yeah, but they don't even say oh, it makes me feel better. It must be the focus complex that then really gets you lined up.
So when you're dealing with ADHD, when you're not medicated at all, it's like a roller coaster. You'll have bursts of energy and then it will die. And then you'll have bursts of energy and then it will die. Especially with me, because I do more of the hyper focus stuff where I'll pay super high attention to something and then it will drop off. Caffeine lowers that to where it's like a stable line instead of a roller coaster. So that way I can be more consistent in figuring out when I have to fall asleep or when I'm able to do something. I actually, when I was little, when I was still going to my sperm donor of a father, he would give me 4 2-liters of soda for the entire weekend. And he would let me drink them however I wanted, essentially. But I couldn't drink them before 11 a.m. But if I drank them before bed, I could drink a full entire 2-liter of soda before I would go to bed and be perfectly fine. And I would sleep from 10 o'clock until 9 o'clock in the morning. And then I was great.
What kind of soda are you talking? Are we talking Mountain Dew? That's
No, just like normal Pepsi. You're just
Okay.
paying for 2 liters of Pepsi. But the caffeine content in between Mountain Dew and Pepsi, it really isn't that much different.
I think it's like double, right?
No, it's like 10
I
milligrams.
thought Mountain Dew had
There's very,
more.
very small difference.
Pretty
The
sure it's
most,
double.
We could
the mo-
Google this up.
the
Google it.
is, Dr. Pepper, actually, if I remember correctly. And the highest sugar content is Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew
definitely.
caffeine, 55 milligrams per 12 ounces on Mountain Dew.
Like
And then
5 or 35, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's like 35 for like cola.
37.5 for Pepsi
Okay.
Cola.
Yep.
So
And if I
50%
remember,
more.
yeah, but it's not as drastic as everybody makes it out to be. They're like, oh, it's so much worse. It's it's green. That's why it's so different, guys. It's not brown. It's weird. It's weird. But yeah, that used to be the way that he put me to sleep. He'd be just, here's a 2 liter, go to sleep.
Did you guys see that? I think Dr. Pepper is like they're like the number 2 soda. They like overtook Pepsi.
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wait.
I was like, what? Coca-Cola's still number 1 though.
Well, yeah,
Obviously.
but that's because it's never been a competition. Yeah, it surpasses Pepsi as the second most popular soda.
That's wild.
That
It's
is
different.
unbelievable.
So what's weird is in New York, at least, so they Dr. Pepper's have owned the brand since 2018, and they bought it with an 18.7 billion deal with Keurig Green Mountain to take the name Dr. Pepper Snapple. So
Wow.
that's why. Is they're part of Snapple too. But
Okay.
it's interesting to see how they count this, because for the longest time I thought it was just Coke versus Pepsi, which I understand, but around me at least, Pepsi sells better. Pepsi's normally at the front of the aisle all by itself, and then Coke is at the end. So to me, I always thought that it was at least a 50-50, but I guess the South is more Coke. But it's interesting to see Dr. Pepper finally pass it, because honestly, Dr. Pepper is better than both of them. The flavor is more complex, and you can put it with more things. The people in the South use Dr. Pepper and boil peanuts in it and make hot Dr. Pepper. That's fucking weird. But they use it in more ways than. And speaking of Coke, I saw this fucking short the other day. And they're like, did you know it does this? And I was like, wait, okay. I'm a nerd. I gotta know. This dude poured a 2 liter bottle of soda over top of this girl's hair who had gum in it. It removed the gum from the hair because it denatures the gum enough to the point where it doesn't stick. And I was like, fuck, that's cool. And then they're like, look, pour Coke on top of rust and it eats away the rust. I was like, yeah, I already knew that, but that's cool. And then there was one more thing, and it was the interesting part of it. And you don't fucking ADHD brain fucking sucks. Third thing always makes no sense to remember too. But yeah, it's interesting to see Dr. Pepper pass both Pepsi and Coke. Really fucking interesting.
I never liked Dr. Pepper. Like, the complex flavor isn't what I want in a crisp, refreshing soda. Pepsi's more refreshing.
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper coconut. I did something weird with it the other day because they came out with it, and I was like, I got to try this.
That's wrong. That's unholy.
And I'm normally quiet about other sodas because I do respect G Fuel at that level of like, I'm just not going to talk about any other drinks at all because it just makes it easier. But I took the Miami Nights G Fuel flavor and mixed it with creamy coconut Dr. Pepper. And that was the greatest pina colada flavor I've ever had in my life. Because it's not Dr. Pepper coconut with like coconut flavoring added into Dr. Pepper. It's straight up like coconut Dr. Pepper soda. So it's like super, super coconutty. And then you mixed in that shit was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. I know I sound like a neckbeard, but it's fucking fantastic.
I do stuff like that all the time where I'll mix G Fuel with like random stuff. I mean, they have like a bunch of flavors that are like desserts and stuff, and you can like mix those with milk and like a little milk
I haven't tried the milk thing because being lactose intolerant, absolutely horrible.
You could do like
when I buy
like
milk, it's like $7. Like, oh no, I'm allergic to tree nuts. Can't have milk.
Jesus. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Obviously I'm straight, allergic to nut milk. But I get the lactose free milk, which is like $7 a gallon. So it's a pain in the balls. It's like At least it lasts 3 months worth of time because of the expiration date. But I'll mix it with different sodas and stuff like that because it's just nice to have that little bit of a difference. But I actually got something really, really nice the other day. It was on clearance for like $150 off. And I was like, yes, you know what? I'm just going to buy it because it's nice. It was like a $250 thing, $300 thing. I got it for like $80. I got a Ninja drink thing.
Oh, yeah.
Before I had a soda stream where you have to screw on the bottle and it gets all fucked up if you try and add things into the bottle beforehand. But I got the soda stream one. It was really fucking nice. You don't have to have any certain bottle. If it's even the big G Fuel cups, which is really nice. So I'll mix up G Fuel at the bottom with like 2 to 3 ounces worth of water, shake it, and then make sparkling water into it. So that way I don't even have to have cans shipped to me anymore. It's just like I can have whatever G Fuel carbonated I want.
Nice.
And it's not trying to find a sparkling water flavor or soda flavor that mixes with it, which is cool because now I can just have whatever I want.
Yeah, I did that for one of my first, like, when I first got G Fuel, I was like, let's just make G Fuel smoothies.
Yep.
And that was cool. Yeah, like having one of those quick little blenders is life changing.
Oh, it's not even a blender. It's whatchamacallit. It's a Ninja Thirsty, I believe. It makes sparkling water.
Oh, that's different.
And you put pods in the top, and you can literally mix the G Fuel in the pod, and then it will dump the entire pod into the drink too. So you don't even have to like mix it correctly too.
Oh, that's crazy. Like I hear Ninja, so I think about the old like Ninja blender commercials, but Thirsty is wild.
Yeah, no. Walmart had it on a crazy fucking rollback deal like 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I was like, you know what? I loved my soda stream, but they stopped selling the little screw-on things at my Walmart for the longest time, so I stopped using it. I was like, nah, you know what? I need to get back off of soda. Let me just swap over to this and see if it works. And it did. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. It's really fucking high quality too. It looks nice.
Yeah, this is like the craziest thing I've seen since the Soda Stream came out for the first time. Like you see that as a kid, you're like, yeah, I could be rich and get one of those.
Yeah,
I was really surprised with the price too.
Because of the content that I make, that sounds like a good little content farm. I have to get one of those and try all these flavors.
Oh, that would definitely be a content farm. Yeah. That's like buying your own fucking mechanic or like a hydraulic press. You just put anything in there.
Oh, I got it for $130. Here is the link. It is normally $169, I guess. Danny, make sure to open it in a separate tab because it will fuck with you and kick you out of the room if you don't. Okay. But it comes with a whole bunch of shit, and you're kind of just able to use anything with it. So once we had one of the little pod thingies empty, I kind of made G Fuel inside of it with like 3-4 scoops
That's
worth.
what you did, yeah.
And it just comes across as nice. And then SodaStream also sells the direct syrup from like Mountain Dew and Pepsi and stuff. So you can then mix in sodas at whatever level of flavor you want, which is so nice. It's just so autistic because you're like, oh, I can add in however much I want.
Okay, so here's the crazy thing. If you want to make Baja Blast, 3 parts Mountain Dew, 1 part Blue Powerade. That's the recipe. Or
Blue Ice.
Yeah, Blue Ice.
That doesn't make Baja Blast.
But whatchamacallit? So I used to love going and finding all the different little Mountain Dew flavors that they would throw out and try them. The only ones I wouldn't try is Pitch Black because grape is gross.
Agreed.
So I've gone through and made Mountain Dew of every single flavor of G Fuel that I have because I was like, okay, this is a cool thing. Let me just
what's the best
autistically try it. So you know the sour fruit punch that came out a few months ago?
Yeah.
Sour fruit punch and Mountain Dew slaps so fucking hard because it's like a sour version of the fruit punch they released in the different competition things that they used to do back in the day. And then the other one I tried was the cantaloupe. Cantaloupe and Mountain Dew taste so much like Typhoon from back in the day. That shit slaps too. And I was like, this is so fucking awesome. I can't negative it at all.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
A sour plus Mountain Dew sounds really good. And I miss back in the day when they did like the first one that had like Voltage, Whiteout, and the other one.
They weren't separate ones. Hold on, let me look. Because I used to love them because it's an ADHD dream. Because it's like, okay, Mountain Dew flavor competition. So it was like an ADHD dream because like you can try all these different flavors. So the first one was Revolution, which turned into a different whiteout. Supernova, which was melon and Mountain Dew, and then Voltage. If you want me to be honest, out of this one, Voltage was the worst.
You're wrong. You're just like completely wrong. The best one won. I'm happy I can get Voltage whenever I want.
Voltage is good. I'm happy that it's always available.
Voltage is S tier.
Supernova one was fantastic. Another one that I made was I mixed the cantaloupe that I put in the pod and watermelon with Mountain Dew, and it legitimately tasted like drinking a fruit salad. It was the weirdest feeling I've ever had in my life. But yeah, I love doing weird shit like this. It was always interesting to kind of just see exactly what it is because, you know, it's interesting. And then Democracy 2 is the one I believe that Whiteout one. And they don't have a picture for this one. Yeah, Whiteout won with 44%, but there was only 7 states it lost.
Mm-hmm.
It lost 40% to Typhoon and then 16 to like a heavier lime Mountain Dew. I don't even know why that was in the competition, but yeah, no. I thought that thing was nice because it's just a nice little difference of
yuzu lemongrass flavor for Whiteout.
Yuzu lemongrass? What are you talking about?
That's what the Whiteout flavor is.
Really?
Sounds like yuzu / G Fuel. I don't even know if that's a flavor anymore.
I missed that one. Is that like a ramen kind of flavor?
It was citrus. I know that, but it was like an orange citrus or something. It was PewDiePie's second flavor.
Yeah, they're interesting with the things that I thought with the things that they come out with. I gave them
with
3 or 4 different flavors and stuff.
The first like Dew vote was just like the craziest thing as a kid because like you go down the store and you get all the new flavors and like they're just so wild and delicious.
And all of them, other than Code Red, all 3 of those flavors would have outsold Pitch Black, Livewire, and what was the third one they had? All 3 of those flavors were good enough to be standalone flavors. They were at the level of Code Red. And I was just like, guys, why don't we just cycle the flavors? Yeah. Like every year, cycle them to 3 new flavors and have, you know, the normal Dew stay. I don't even care if you cycle out Code Red every now and then.
I think it felt like another hit at the 90s because that was like the most 90s feeling thing and it happened like 2008. So it's like, oh, the 90s are back. Yeah. Everything's great.
So I remember my mom telling me about how like they would take the tops of, you know, cigarette packs or like how Monster does the tabs now. It's like, it was like that of like, guys, there's a giveaway thing. If you go to the store and buy these flavors, you can vote on which one stays. It's like, then they fucked it all up with, you know, the Mountain Dew naming contest. And it's like, guys, go back, you know, 20 years and we already have it figured out. Just cycle the flavors, cycle all of the fruit flavors with different flavors every year and just say, oh, we're adding in a flavor into the cycle. That's how you win. That's how you win America back, Mountain Dew. I just did all the work for you. You can retake over Dr. Pepper. And that's where that's what my confusion and point was. Do they just count Dr. Pepper sales, Pepsi sales, and Coke sales? Or is it all of the brand? Because that's where it gets confusing.
I would assume it's all of the brand.
Because Sprite is going to outsell Starry because Starry is shit. Sprite is by far the most powerful second brand if Mountain Dew's not counted towards Pepsi. But Mountain Dew might be stronger than everything else Coke has other than Coke. So I had this question. I saw this question on Reddit, and it was interesting because it changes the way a lot of people kind of perceive things. And it was a story essentially like, hey guys, I'm coming here to ask you guys because my boyfriend does this and I think it's weird. She's like, so the other day we were sitting down playing Mario Kart and every 2 to 3 games, he would just slow down on the 3rd level. On the 3rd lap, he would just slow down to the point where it was easy to kind of pass him and kind of win the race. I was like, oh, so he's letting you win. And then she's like, yeah. So how do I get him to stop? Because I just want him to take me as like a person that can do everything instead of it just being, this big obnoxious thing where, oh, we're not competing, we're just playing the game together. Do you guys let your girlfriends or significant others or kids win, or do you guys just kind of actually push them to be the best in the game to win? How do you guys look at this?
I can go first. I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
You haven't talked as much.
I have a 7-year-old, so he's like really into gaming now, and whenever we play a game together, I'll let him win like 2 times, and then like the third time I gotta like let him know who's really boss. But I don't know. I feel like with the significant other, I find that a little weird. Like, I mean, I guess it depends on what you're playing. Like my wife can like kick my ass at chess. So there's like, but like I guess if you're gonna let somebody win, you gotta not be so obvious about it either. Like if you can like see the pattern, like that's kind of weird.
To me, it got weird because I have 3 kids too, and all 3 of them, I just push them, because why the hell not? Let them see exactly what they're doing. Let them learn how to do it. Let them experience how the situation is. Obviously, you keep telling them they're doing better and they're doing better, and you keep pushing those things, but you don't kind of just bag so that way they feel like they won. Maybe once or twice, but letting them feel like you're this god and they're trying to step up and they actually do it. That has more payoff than just being like, oh, dad was never better than you. You beat me the first 2 times you played. It comes off as like almost obnoxious. So to me, at least. But significant others are even at a higher level than that, to me at least. When my wife wanted to learn how to play a game or something, I sat her on my lap and we're like, we're going to play. And when we were playing Call of Duty, it was, okay, see if you can beat me. See if you can get more kills than I can. And obviously I'm better, but you know how many times that she actually did beat me and she got super fucking excited and was all like giddy about it and everything else? Yeah, it wasn't very often. Yeah, when we dropped into Blackout, it was rare for her to get 2 or 3 kills. But do you know how fun it is when she gets 5 or 6 and you're like, fuck, you took everything? Not only that, it pushes you to do better too, because then you're trying to better them and yourself every time. And that to me is fun.
I think it also depends on like their proficiency of the game too. Like obviously if my son's like, just playing the game for the first time, like I'm gonna let him learn how to play first before I like,
Oh, absolutely. You don't curb stomp people.
Right.
But you show them that, like, if you're playing Mario Kart, you don't bag on the last lap to see if they could win. You finish the race and tell them, go, you got this, and you get them going. It's not just, oh, I'm just gonna let you win. That to me is weird. Brolis, you do that shit?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, it's really complicated because I haven't had anyone in my life that's been like, oh, I need to beat you in your game. Like, you find their game that they're better at, and then you try to compete with them and see how they respond in that way.
To me, the best game for things like this was games like Mario Party, where it's like, you may know 5 or 6 of the mini games to the level where you're a fucking beast at them, and you might be acceptable at all the other ones. But it's a competition and you're fucking around with each other and having fun. That was always the best one to me. The worst thing that I've seen is playing something that's like a platformer, like the new Mario Brothers and stuff when that came out on Wii. We would bring in my sister to play and we would have 4 of us playing at the same time. She would automatically put herself in the bubble and expect us to carry her the entire fucking thing. So we would go to save ourselves because we missed a jump or something, and we lose the entire round.
Yeah.
Because we have somebody already in a bubble instead of standing at the edge and waiting to make sure we all made the jump. That was the worst one to me. It's like, we're carrying you. And she would scream, pop me, don't pop me, pop me, don't pop me. So we would end up running through the level and popping her as we walked through it. And she would get mad. It's like, no, just stop playing. Just stop playing.
Yeah, there's
You're not even
a lot of ways that can kind of break down where it's like, you can't play 100% skill games if this actually becomes an issue where it's just like, oh, I'm only always going to win even though I like
I just want to be included.
Yeah, like the just being included is not Super Smash Brothers or anything like that.
Yeah.
Unless it's, because then like that's also more obvious, but it's kind of fun where it's like, all right, let's see if I can beat you when I'm playing Kirby or something. And then Mario Party has to be the best one because it's like 25% skill, 75% luck. Where like you can consistently win and do well and like get it, but then you just lose a chance time, or they land on something, get like 5 free stars and just win the game. It's like that'll happen every once in a while. It's like those games will determine it for you. But man, that's like the dickest move when it's just like, oh, I don't have to participate and I'm just holding everyone back. Then why are you even here? Why are you even like pretending to play?
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't matter. We have 99 lives and we've beaten the game. We don't want to carry somebody. Like, if you're going out of your way to play Call of Duty and you're like, I sat down my controller 4 games ago, teehee. It's like, no, fuck you. Why the fuck are you in here then? Why? This makes no sense. But yeah, that used to drive me nuts. And it even comes to a point where a couple of months ago, when the new Mortal Kombat came out, I bought it and was playing it with my kids, my 2 older kids and stuff like that. They pushed themselves to try and beat me. Like, you ignite the fire in them of, oh, I just touched this game for the first time. I kicked your ass. It lights the spark in them, and it's so cool to see. And I don't know if everybody feels that or if my kids are just competitive, but my daughter didn't stop playing for like 5 hours, 6 hours after we started playing. She's just like, Dad, can I keep playing? Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Enjoy it. She just kept going and kept going and kept going. And it's like, kid, you're enjoying yourself. Why am I going to tell you to get off? And she's the kid that doesn't like every little video game. It's just like every now and then something will click and she'll be like, I like this. It was so cool because then my son did the same thing. The next day he beat the entire story mode because he's like, I just want to be able to beat Dad. And it's like, oh, now it's a challenge. The only time he quits now is like if I go through and I do 100% combo and he can't move. He's like, that wasn't fun. It's like, yeah, well, I hit the once in a lifetime combo. It's okay. I promise you it's okay.
This is a more modern problem because, like, you think about old shows, like TV shows, where it's just like, oh, the kid tries to beat the father, and then the father just, like, beats him down, the entire episode until he finally gets the win at the end. It's like, yeah, that doesn't happen the same way as it does in chess or football or other, like, board games where it's normally portrayed. Because, again, board games have that chance element, a little bit of, like, knowledge, and eventually you can catch up and be on an even playing field. In gaming, sometimes just, like, I will always be better than you. So we have to find out how to make this work.
In gaming, I was always better than my parents. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I started playing games at fucking 3.5, 4 years old. So like as a whole, I never had that point. So it was weird when like me and my stepdad would go out and play catch, or me and my stepdad would go toss around a football. And he's like, oh shit. And like you see it in their eyes of like, oh, he's more athletic than I am. At like 7, 8 years old. It's like, dude, I don't understand where it's like, oh yeah, there was a time where I wasn't more athletic than you were. Like I never had that time of like, oh yeah, he's better. I was better at video games and I was more athletic. So there was never that time. And that to me is like, it's hard asking people, oh, well, did you ever have that time? Did you run into that wall of like, oh, I'm finally better now? Because I imagine a 30, 40-year-old guy, half of them have beer bellies. How many of our dads were actually athletic at 30, 40 years old? There's a handful maybe. But even at 10 years old, you're more athletic than they are then. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
that
they just have size to like push you down without trying in football or something, but they don't have the agility or actual talent that you can develop really quickly as a kid.
Or even hold. You can hold that. You can hold that skill quite a bit. And it seems like video games, you can hold it even longer as long as it's not a reaction game. And it's more secular to that specific game you play.
Yeah, I think it's also different with like a girlfriend because guys are naturally more competitive. So even if your girl's like, oh, hey, here's the game I'm really good at, and she beats you a couple times, she's only played that game for 20 hours. A guy will put 20 hours in 2 days and then get better. Or just like be like, oh yeah, I will play your game more now, and then
that's why
there's
I like
no winning
games too, because Mario Party you can do teams and stuff like that, and then you become like the couple that stomps on everybody, and that's fun too.
Yeah,
definitely. It depends a lot on what the game is. Like you said, whether it's more of a chance game or if it's actually like a skill-based game where you can go grind for however many hours and actually like get considerably good in a short amount of time. But
Well, a lot of those skill games are so much like, if you look at the luck based games like Mario Party, like Pokemon, that have that level of RNG in them, where it's like one thing can fuck up the entire thing. It's like there's a level of skill that you can have to where you guarantee 85, 90% of the games because you just know more. You just know how to do this more and do that more. That's why I think that this is so. Oh, it's a racing game. No, that is a skill based fucking game. And if you take the randomization of it out of, oh, there could be random blue shells, you're winning 95% of the races if you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're giving up at lap 3, it's obvious as fuck.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is condescending. Like, I would rather be stomped by somebody who's better than me than somebody who's driving backwards saying, ha ha ha, look at how good I am. Stomp me. Do it.
Mhm.
Show me that you're better than me, so that way I can come
Yeah,
back and beat your ass.
Mario Kart is way too weird for something like this because like if you get into the weeds about like competitive Mario Kart, those people are psychotic where it's just like, oh, you do this strat and then you just hyper drift everything and like they will play the game in a way that you cannot even comprehend how fast they do it. They could eat 3 blue shells and still be in first place. When it's like, how are you so far ahead? The game doesn't allow for that. So yeah, if you're that's a harder game to like kind of fake it on. And I think like the only way you could do it is if you're just like trying to look like you're really trying, but taking risky stuff. So it's like, oh, I need to make this one hop and I look cool. And then you bonk into the wall and fall out. And then you put yourself in just enough range to eat a blue shell and come in third. Like, there, you have to be very careful because the game is either like, yeah, I'm either 2 laps ahead of you or I'm just BMing and I'm not looking cool by just going ha ha ha. It's weird. I don't get it.
Yeah. If you sandbag it in Mario Kart, it's pretty noticeable.
Yeah.
So I had this idea for content, and Verlis, I wanna run this by you because you are the intellectual savior of all these dipshits who are doing this, and I want to prove you right. So let me just say that I'm proving you right by doing this, and it'll be a thank you if I
That's a
end
lot
up
of pressure.
deciding to do it. So this is what I'm planning. I purchased the game already. I'm gonna start streaming the game, and then I'm going to break down from the game to when I start playing competitive matches into one video and then the competitive matches in the second. Let me say it this way. When is the next start of the VGC ladder on the season start? Like, when does the season start?
It's like the first of the month.
Okay, so it resets every month, or does it reset every 2 months?
It resets every month, and then there's like a new series that like shuffles
Changes.
the Pokemon that are allowed. I don't think there's going to be a new series because we already have like one restricted legendary allowed, and we're not going to GS Cup yet until afterwards, maybe. You just look it up on Cerebi and see like when the dates are.
So I'm going to beat the entire game. I didn't pay for the DLC yet because I wanted to ask if it was needed. And I want to see exactly.
If you own
how
all
much
the
I
other
need
games, you have like a stacked Pokemon bank, not needed.
No, I haven't paid for Pokemon Bank, and I have some of it, but I don't have all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to prove your point of it does take time, but it doesn't take as much time as it used to. And I want to prove that I can do this completely legitimately by either having my friends hand me something, possibly if I need something, or they breed something and they have extras. And I want to do it all by myself. Just this is how much time it takes to make master rank. And I want to prove you right by saying, okay, it's not as hard as everybody says it is.
I don't think I need to be proven right on that because it's just objective. Like, it's only level 50 now for hyper training instead of level 100. So, I mean, like, you got a team quick, but it's still like 100 hours to get your first competitive team.
Exactly. So if I'm planning and beating the game at the same time, then going through and getting and catching the things that I need, it shouldn't be as much time across the board of like, oh, it's so much time. It's such a time sink. I should be able to do most of it as a whole as I'm going through the game and everything else.
Yeah.
But I thought it was an interesting, Verlis was actually right. It isn't as hard. And you guys are just kind of...
The thing is, the Pokemon community is just idiots. It's just toxic brats that don't want to work for any of their things. So you don't need to prove them. It is it is like 2 + 2 = 4. The sky is blue shit, where that's inherently a fact that it's easy.
But their argument is, It's so much money. It's no, I just bought the game.
That's just a lie.
Just bought
Like
the
that,
game.
they're just too
Yeah,
stupid. And
exactly.
that's just a lie.
That's my point. It's like
And
I
but
did
they're
it.
automatically disproven. You don't need an example of this being a thing.
I know. I just thought it was a cool video idea. I liked the idea, and I was like, oh, VGC sounds fun. Let me learn it. And if I learn it in 120 hours, and now I'm in Master Ball rank, I'm looking at everybody like they're stupid.
Yeah, it's very very
And I
achievable
thought
as
that was
a
funny.
120-hour master ball rank. The problem is they don't want to do that work, and then they say like, "Oh, having 100 hours of practice over someone isn't an advantage." You're just objectively wrong.
Yeah, but 120 hours to beat the game and become Master Ball rank because I
Yeah.
watch videos and learn how people play is not a crazy get. It's not crazy to get to that level.
No,
And I
it's too
just thought
much.
it was-
That takes too much time. That's too long. It's inaccessible because of all the idiots in Pokemon. It's just too stupid to even deal with or acknowledge.
So is it too stupid to just show everybody up and do it myself?
Except that doesn't count because, like, oh, just hitting Master Ball rank, that's not enough. And then the
No,
Pokemon
but
community,
that's
the
step
Pokemon
one.
community is too fucking stupid to engage any of this with. Like, you need an outside force that's actually like, oh, you guys are idiots. You don't think hacking the game is cheating? Like, there actually needs to be like some major outside pressure from like massive creators that just come in and be like, oh, you're all just beyond stupid. You're all just beyond wrong except for this Verlisify guy. Until that happens, nothing else matters, nothing else changes the thing, nothing else makes a point. Like, you prove nothing because they're that stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I thought it was not only a fun jab at the conversations we had, but
It doesn't do
also
anything. That's how
a
dense.
fun little piece of conversation and shit like that. I don't know.
I played
having
Pokemon
fun
Go.
making content.
That's the only Pokemon experience I have. So,
Oh, you didn't play Pokemon as a kid?
well, I honestly didn't have video games until I was in like middle school because like my parents split and times were
How old
tough.
are you?
But
If
I'm
it's
28.
public. Oh, so you're a little bit younger than me. So Pokemon wouldn't have started until
I remember all the kids at school like, oh, I got like
you would have been slightly
the
too
blue
young for it.
cartridge,
Yeah.
and they get like the other color and stuff. But I never like got into it.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately.
Honestly, it's one of the most intriguing games there is because of how much diversity and stuff there is.
I wouldn't even know where to
Also
start.
good for your kids.
Yeah.
Good for kids and being able to play with them too.
We'll check
Because
it
they
out.
will just absorb all of the information like a sponge. It was actually the first game that both of my older two kids beat. They beat Pokemon Sword and Shield by themselves.
Yeah.
I handed them the cartridge and told them to play it and figure it out.
Yeah, one of my middle school teachers kind of set me straight because we had to memorize like 3 pages of a book and then just like recite it and read it without having the book there. So like pure memorization of like a play or something. And I was like, I can't do this. I'm struggling with it. And they're like, you know everything about every Pokemon and you can tell me like every stat and world record of every fish caught in Florida, but you can't memorize 3 pages. I was like, damn, I lose. Like I have no excuse.
That shit's crazy. And I don't know if that's just a me thing and that's supposed to be normal. I could memorize whatever the fuck I felt like I needed to memorize. But if it's a recall thing, I'm going to fail horribly. And I know that's ADHD, but reciting a fucking book is the most obscene, retarded thing I've ever seen in my life. Me and this kid, we went to school in like 2 different schools together, and we essentially grew up together. He was my cousin's best friend's nephew. We were the same age. And he was somebody in the play at some point, and he just wasn't a play person. They just kind of pushed him to do it because they forced him. I was like, I could never do that shit. Not because of the public speaking, not because of having fun. Why the fuck do I give enough of a fuck to be forced to remember sentences that have no bearing on anything about Romeo and Juliet? Why the fuck does that matter? Where is this anything we have to learn?
I believe that like menial learning, like things that don't matter, is actually very important because like you still need discipline. You still need a slight honing of that skill for like recall and on the spot. Oh shit, I'm doing a presentation. I need to memorize an entire word for word page in a short amount of time.
That makes sense, and there's payoff to that. The payoff to doing a play in English class in 10th grade, there's no real payoff to that. It's just, oh, you got a grade.
The skill, that's the payoff. You have that
doesn't
sharpening of an ability.
Doesn't that skill make more sense if you go through and you make it so that way it's public speaking. If English was public speaking, learning how to interact with people, and being able to write properly, then those are the only three things English class is about, because how many people are genuinely writing papers? We speak a hell of a lot more than we do write, especially now. Wouldn't that benefit humanity as a whole a hell of a lot more if those things were the basis of what English class was? I remember one book from high school, Night by Elie Wiesel, and it was about the concentration camps and shit like that. How many books do you remember from high school?
It's still about developing reading comprehension. That's why the like tests you get are just complete nonsense, where it's just like, here's a half of a paragraph, try to extract something from it. It's like, the only way you can do that is by reading books you've already forgotten about.
Or knowing how to bullshit your way through absolutely everything because they accept 90% of effort, which is where the problem comes in.
I had a high school English teacher that also taught like the community college, and she was just, everybody was terrified of her, and a lot of her actual like curriculum was like the speaking, and like we did a lot of presentations in that class, and I was terrified like every time. And we read a lot of books too. I think most of the books that I remember reading in high school were in her class, like Fahrenheit 451 and Ender's Game and stuff like that. So I guess it depends on the teacher.
Yeah,
like I didn't even have bad teachers. I'm friends with most of them on Facebook. I talk to them for most of the time because I did graduate with a kid. Most of them were like, oh, is he actually going to do something with his life? So I understand where there's going to be a disconnect there. But it's interesting because so much of that isn't, oh, well, learn how to be a human. It's learn how to recite and learn how to remember. And it's like, guys, 90% of this doesn't fucking matter the second I walk out the door.
It does.
Depends on the career field you're going to go for.
Well, like I said, I think it's just those skills and the discipline and the comprehension that you develop. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get pop quiz. Like someone's going to pull a gun on me and be like, pop quiz, who wrote this book and what happened on page 38 of what? And what happened on page 38 of A Midsummer Night's Dream? I don't know, I'm dead. No, it's not that. It's like when you're reading anything online, an article, or you're trying to type out something coherent, that those skills have been baked into. I think the best way of like relating this is cursive. You just learn it. And then like there's a big like war on cursive right now. It's like, oh, it's useless. We're never going to use cursive. We don't even need to read it because no one's writing in it anymore. But it's still one of those things like you're developing a different skill of different writing, and it also like gives you different pattern recognition.
To me, if it was all skill-based things like cursive, even if it's 80% of the time you don't use it, and it's something that you could use or could be beneficial, that is what school should be. Not a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or reciting poetry lines. You know what I'm saying? It's weird because so many of these things aren't like, oh, you learned a skill that is valuable at some point or isn't valuable to 90% of people, but it's valuable to these people in this certain circumstance. How many people
I see the poetry and cursive as the same, where it's just like, it's more of like a formal thing. Like you write in cursive, that's fancy, that's seen as proper. Much like how poems, those are more elevated in some kind of like English sense, where it's like, oh, this is a play.
What kind of poems did you learn? I learned fucking haiku, which is the most nut-dragging fucking level of poetry that you could ever think of.
I wish that you accidentally did a haiku where it's like most nut-dragging level of poetry you can think of. It's like, wow, you did it.
5,
you recalled haiku.
Yes. No, it's stupid though, because it's like, that shit doesn't matter. Being available to have like a group conversation and break something down is what you should be learning in English class. Why is poetry and haiku the thing you learn in 9th and 10th grade? I still don't understand. But
unless it's proper. It feels like there's a different kind of elegance to it.
I don't know.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
It sounds like part of your like issues with like it's just like America's education system as a whole, like how they do stuff, and some things are like stuck in the past, and some things are, they're trying to like I when I was in school, I remember cursive was like heavily debated. I don't know how much it's debated now, but like they were like, computers are the future, and so like all of a sudden computers were like the main focus, like typing class and stuff, and Yeah, I
We
mean, I
had
can't
to
even
write-
remember the last time I wrote cursive.
We had to write our rough drafts in cursive and then retype them. That they wouldn't accept papers and essays and stuff if they weren't cursive because that's how it's supposed to be done. And then that changed about like 8th grade. Like we even had to write our test essays in cursive and stuff like that. I'm 30. Like I'm not even that much older than you.
Right.
Yeah, like it's insane to see the slight differences in not only what they do, but the level that they kind of look at.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think even like English classes, Zach is kind of disagreeing with it, shows that it has a lot of value because like Zoomers, these younger generations, they're always on their phones, they're not being respectful, they don't want to learn, and we can just see them being completely stupid and irrational on Twitter and social media, and just like they have no social interaction or capabilities.
The slang is where it gets weird. It's like when we had slang for things, whether it's that's hot, that's the bomb, whatever level before like 2010, none of those phrases or terms really had a basis in conversation beforehand. Why does bet mean yes? And why does cap mean lie? There is zero reason that any of this makes sense to me. And it's just like, guys, you guys are literally just using random phrases that don't mean that. At least the phrases that people used before were fucking retarded still. Absolutely. I'm not disagreeing. I'm not saying that they're better. I'm just saying that they didn't confuse people because they understood what the fuck you were talking about.
I don't know. We had
I'm
like bogus and gnarly.
Yeah. But were they the top of the
makes sense.
Were they top of the line phrases?
Yeah, it wasn't used at every 3 sentences like we see with Zoomers. But what I was getting at is like Zoomers are less literate, less intelligent, and that's because they are completely casting out the education system. So even though everyone's like, oh, education system's flawed and we need a lot of work with it, it still has a lot of value. And we can see that in just how the younger generations that are disrespectful, they are just beyond stupid.
Oh, they genuinely are, and it's weird. Like, I don't know. I've come to terms with so many fucking things in the past couple weeks. And like when you're introspective, it's normally how you should be. But I was having a conversation about IQ and stuff like that. Like, yeah, my IQ is pretty high, whatever. I was supposed to skip 2 grades during school. They were questioning it and they decided not to do it. I was like, yeah, I learned multiplication and cursive and division before going into kindergarten. So I knew all of it already. They're like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, I was found profoundly gifted when I was going into kindergarten. That's why they were going to skip me ahead. I was so far ahead of the class that they're just like, he can go. He can read already. He already knows what he's going to do. We're going to skip him to like 2nd grade. If I started in the school that I finished kindergarten in, I probably would have been skipped. But have you ever Googled what profoundly gifted means?
No.
It's IQ above 145. And I'm just like, fuck. Mom, you couldn't get me to apply myself because where the fuck would I have been? It's just like my ADHD mindset's like, I could have done so much more than just be a dude who tells dick jokes and talks about mental illness on fucking online. I could be doing so much more with my life. She's like, fuck. Why? I'm just like, now I feel like a douchebag because I Googled what the fuck profoundly gifted means. And now I really am smarter than most people that I'm in a room with. And I'm like, fuck. Wow, I'm a jackass now. I felt that before.
Intelligence was being able to do it and figure it out yourself. Because and it's funny because we have like talented and gifted. So I'm gifted, which is an IQ above 130. And then they added in talented, which is like, 115. I'm just like, what are these idiots doing here? Why did the tag program exist? This should only be a Smarties in this gifted program.
It's weird because I thought that me being able to perceive somebody was not as intelligent or not as eloquent or not as in-depth wasn't my intelligence showing. It was me being a douchebag because I was picking up people who were lower than average. And I'm like, oh wait, no. Most people that I'm pointing that at are just average. I'm like, fuck, I was a douchebag a lot of the time then. It changes the way that you kind of perceive everything. And that was weird for me. I was like, wait, why? So I talked to my therapist about it. And he's like, shit. Yeah, yep. Profoundly gifted's 140, 145 or above. I'm like, wait, really? He's like, yeah. Well, why do you think both of your kids are extremely intelligent? Your baby's extremely intelligent. Zach, they get it from you. You're on that, autism spectrum with ADHD and OCD and autism, and you're just somewhere in there. You're one of the people that overachieve. And if you got the extra little help that you needed in certain cases, you would have blown everybody's minds. I'm like, fuck. Okay, thanks. Thanks for calling me autistic. And I had to come to terms with that one. That one was not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Zach hit the other side of like the IQ spectrum where it kind of loops around when you get a little too smart.
It's hard, man. It's it makes you feel retarded, genuinely and directly.
And you never found like your savant talent. Unlucky.
Nope. Doing math in your head while you're doing 50 other different things is not a talent. So speaking of luxuries.
What day was June 7th, 1859?
No fucking idea. You're fucking weird.
You're supposed to say Wednesday or some shit, and that's like, we found it. We found Zach's talent.
Nope. No, I have the eidetic memory where if it's a conversation that sticks in my mind, I can normally tell you about like 75, 80% of the conversation.
Tuesday, damn.
What luxury do you take for granted that you would want for everyone? I have my answer. If you want it, I can go first. I don't care.
It's a want for everyone. I don't care
so
about that kind of stuff. Because I'm more just like, kids these days don't understand the luxury compared to like growing up in the 90s where it's like, bro, you have a computer in your pocket. We didn't have computers forever.
I have a great luxury that would impact positively for everyone. It's not like, oh, you could have steak for every dinner. It's not like, oh, you could take a hot shower every day, 3 times a day because you have an endless water heater. I have one direct luxury that would impact everybody positively, and there's stages to it. The first stage is going from toilet paper to fucking wipes, you disgusting fucking pigs. I am so sick of everybody being fucking gross. Take the first step.
No, don't go wipes. Just go straight to bidet, which I haven't used, so I don't know like that luxury.
That was the second stage. I was getting there.
But you like if you have a septic tank, you can't use wipes. Even flushable wipes will fuck your septic.
Most of us don't own houses. What are you talking about? Why do you care about that shit? It doesn't fucking matter.
Because I live in a place with septic and I can't use wipes.
You still use the wipes.
No, if I use wipes, I'm going to owe my landlord like $8,000. You can't. I'm not going to put shit in a trash can next to the toilet.
In the amount of times that you've lived in rentals, which was since you were like what, 20? Somewhere around there. How many times have you seen a septic tank pumped?
I don't care. I'm not going to fuck the septic.
I don't care. That's my point is I have yet to, since I was 17, see a septic tank pumped. I've seen one my entire life. So honestly, I think they're either all fucked and it's not because of the wipes or it's not actually a problem. They're just bitching and complaining because it makes their job harder. So guess what? Wipes, step 1, use them. Fucking gross, motherfuckers. Stop finger popping your booty hole as you're wiping. It's fucking gross. Second, get one of the cheap bidets from fucking Walmart. They're $15 and you never have to buy toilet paper again. You fucking weirdos. It's not complicated. They're fucking fantastic. Second upgrade to your life after the Ninja Thirsty. Get a bidet. They're like $30. It's fantastic. And I used to feel so self-conscious because of that shit because I never felt clean enough. So what's your guys' luxury you would want for the mass?
Yeah, like I said, I can't think about it for the mass because I'm more just like, people take for granted the luxuries we didn't have growing up already, so we don't like they don't deserve the luxuries to begin with.
Well, I think our generation is interesting in that fact because we have blazed such a different kind of world. Like before us, there wasn't fucking internet in every home. So as that generation went on, we all kind of grew. But there is little life hacks that you're like, oh, this made life easier because this impacts this and it's a luxury because it's $2 more than everything else. But as a whole, you save thousands of dollars if you're just smart enough to do it.
I guess I have a controversial one, and it comes down to personal preference, but zero sugar soda has gotten so good. I don't know why anybody drinks regular soda anymore. Like it's and like regular soda is just. I mean, it's just
Are you saying
empty
diet soda
calories.
or just
Zero
specifically
sugar.
zero sugar?
Diet and zero sugar, like completely
I know.
different taste
That's
wise.
definitely
Yeah.
controversial because I the last time I accidentally got zero sugar was like it ruined my day. I was like, nope, this is different. I thought I was getting Baja Blast. It's Baja Blast zero sugar. It's worse, and I can't go back to the store.
The
How long
Mountain Dew
ago was
ones
that?
suck. They're horrible.
Like 2 years ago.
The Mountain Dew ones suck. They are
Yeah.
fucking horrible.
So it's not a
But
one-to-one exchange.
Dr. Pepper
Right.
Zero Sugar is just as good as normal Dr. Pepper in all of the flavors. And Cherry Pepsi Zero Sugar is better than zero sugar, normal sugar Pepsi. But it's very, very selective. I do agree, though.
It depends on the yeah, it definitely depends on the soda. But I mean, when I was on the track team in high school, the track coach was like, I better not see anybody drinking regular soda. And then so I stopped drinking regular soda and I just never went back. And so like seeing people just like downing like half a 2 liter of Mountain Dew like for lunch, I'm just like, damn, bro, you're like setting yourself up for failure.
I
That's
used to
so
sell,
much sugar.
I used to sell cans of soda at school. So I used to drink soda all of the time because it was the only thing that was in the house that I actually liked. And I loved having the bubbles, which is why I got a sparkling water machine, now my second one. So I would bring in 3-4 cans of soda to school and I'd sell them for $4 each. So I could go home and then buy another pack of soda. But do you know how hard it was to get that to be okay in school and people to know without rubbing it in all the teachers' faces? It was weird. And I don't know if that was an actual thing that was going on or me just being fucking anxious, but it seemed like having soda in school was like on the level of having weed. You just weren't allowed to have it. And I didn't understand why. I'm like, wait, was it really that bad? Or am I just retarded? Because this makes no sense as I'm saying it. But I was so afraid to have soda in my backpack. It was like they were going to take it or throw it away. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now looking back, I'm like, I was stupid.
I don't know the schools I went to, like you'd get detention if you brought soda in.
Okay,
And
so
got caught.
I'm not crazy then.
Yeah, you're not crazy.
It's like in that gray area.
That's
like,
contraband. Like contraband
getting
gets
weed.
treated the same unless it is like weed, and then you just go to jail.
Did you guys have any kids get caught for drug dealing or alcohol in school?
Oh
I
yeah.
wouldn't know. I didn't run in those circles.
I didn't either. Well, the alcohol one, they were a part of my circle. The drug one, they were not.
Yeah, so in my world, like they get taken away and I don't hear about it, and no one talks about it. So I wouldn't know.
So both of them happened in my 9th grade year. And the drug one was the weird one. Surprisingly. You would expect the alcohol to be the weird one. It wasn't, at least to me. So the drug one, they got caught selling pills back and forth across in school. They were not Adderall. They were not Ritalin. They were not anything positive. It was the more extreme pills and stuff like that. And it was half of the soccer team. The thing our school was known for. Our soccer team is always the best. Half of our team goes down with drug dealing, literally a week into school. They had like 5 or 6 kids get suspended for a month because of dealing drugs on school grounds and having pills on school grounds. And it was so weird to me because I'm like, wait, it is here? Like drugs are happening. And I was like, wait, it's not, in the grimy, shitty parts of town. It's everywhere. And that was weird. It was really fucking weird to kind of just see that change. And then the alcohol thing happened right afterwards. That was weird too, though.
I would never hear about it like just being one person. Sorry, my dog is barking. I don't know if you can hear that. You guys hear that?
You're good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here, 1 second.
Yep. The alcohol one though was weird too. So I had my best friend. His name was Corey. Corey was the biggest, oddly shaped person you've ever seen in your life. Sweet dude, lost all the weight now, but he was like 5'10" and like 450. He was a big fucking dude. And by the end of 10th grade, he decided to grow dreads and he was white. So odd dude. Also the same guy that I don't remember if I told the story with you on the episode, Verlis, but he was also told that he was asked to go fuck a goth girl in a graveyard. Same guy. So he brought in a Gatorade bottle worth of vodka, and another girl brought in a Gatorade bottle, and they mixed them and then split it half and half, and they've had 2 full bottles worth of vodka essentially. And they got caught by second period, and we had block scheduling, so it was in 84-minute classes. So in the middle of our second class, they were both pulled from class completely, and they were suspended. And everybody's like, "Wait, where'd Corey go?" He got suspended for 2 months because he had fucking alcohol on school grounds. You would think that that would be better than selling pills on school grounds. It makes no fucking sense. So back to what you were saying. You never really heard about drugs. You never really were in those circles.
I mean, I knew it was happening.
I'd never heard about it unless it was like a group of people. Because, like, you know, once it becomes like a circle of people doing things, like somebody opens their mouth and, you know, they get caught. But I don't know how many people are just like secretively putting vodka in a water bottle, but I'm sure it was happening, you know?
Yeah, it's weird though. Like, they legitimately got suspended from school for doing something that I don't understand how it impacts the mass. And that's I think where it is weird for school. If it's not impacting different people, getting them help or seeing what the fuck is wrong is more impactful than suspending them from school. You're not helping them.
I mean, I imagine like counseling goes on top of that.
No. Our school suspension was you came into school at 1:00, you left school at 5:00 because you stayed after in a room like it's detention. That's it. That's what suspension is. You sit in a fucking hallway room and you do nothing other than your schoolwork. You just were out of school for the time that everybody else was there. It was like segregation.
Then it should go on to the parents, but that's probably not a good home situation if they're bringing in like alcohol and drugs, so that's not going to get remedied. But then, like, what's the other thing? Like, you actually ruin their life, and because they have to like be registered as like underage drinking, and then they get like outside of school counseling or guidance or juvie.
Counseling is the only answer, and it's like, well, suspending them doesn't help them. It just makes it worse.
But
because you're giving them more time to drink.
They need to be suspended for breaking such an egregious rule.
Absolutely, but it's like the counseling should be going with the reprimand. The reprimand of being suspended from school is a vacation.
But like I said, then the problem is to set that up. Like, now that shit's going on their permanent record, and potentially just be like, oh, what happened that you had like on like resumes or background checks where it's like, oh, you were 15 and you had to go to alcohol counseling because like that's the only formal way of getting it set up, and it looks like you already ruined your life more. Instead of like suspended, don't fucking do it again.
Well, there's a bigger thing going on right now with that exact thing, actually. And with a friend of the show, Nick Ricada. Love you, Nick. Not going to say anything negative, but that's where that shit gets weird. He was just arrested, and his house was raided by the Minnesota police or something like that. And he's facing a shit ton of charges for drugs, and possibly, regardless of what is going on, I'm just trying to be vague with it. Like, he's losing and struggling with his kids and his life. As a whole, drug rehab, if he's actually having a problem with drugs, is step one. The problem is doing step one and going to rehab affects getting your kids back. And it's like a vicious fucking cycle of the problem. It's like, okay, well, now I don't have anything to live for, so party.
Mm-hmm.
Now when you party, you have to go farther into rehab and getting help. And then you're cycling yourself on that. So let me just say it this way. Nick, we hope the best for you. We hope to talk to you soon, buddy, because shit's hell. I'm going to stand with you until I know exactly what went on. And I assume that that's probably not going to happen. But I hope the best for you. I know Verlis does, even though he didn't get a chance to meet you yet. But
yeah,
hopefully everything's good.
Sure to hear about that.
Yeah, no, it was sad. I hope nothing but the best for him. He's given us.
But also, like, what are you supposed to do? Because then there's people that go to rehab, but then they relapse, and then like they never get fixed up anyways. I mean, like, there needs to be consequences for actions. The consequences are harsh, but the actions of taking like severely illicit drugs and stuff is also pretty harsh. Like, I'm pretty big on just like, don't break the law, my dude.
I am the same. So let me say
Like,
that
I have
first
like
off.
low tolerance for that stuff. Or just like, or you could just be a good person to begin with, not get wrapped up in that.
I've been straight edge my entire life. I tried Delta 8 to deal with my nerve pain, and it worked. That's the only thing I've tried. So let me be straight up and honest with that. I don't even drink. But I don't think the way that we handle it as an illness is the right way. I don't think the way that we do things in that circumstance is the right answer. I don't think that how we look at those things is the answer. Oh, I'm sick, I'm mentally ill, I'm an addict, I can never be healed. That is not how you validate somebody enough to get past their problem. That is just saying that you have no control over it. Therefore, I'm always going to be a fuck up. And that's exactly how I see it. It's
Yeah, and
like,
that's also why I think it's difficult because like you have to treat it like that, where it's like if I'm an employer and I see that on someone's record, it's like they have chosen to be a fuck up, and then like except for like 5% of cases where they like go clean and then they change their entire life around. It's like I'm not taking that gamble if I'm in the position of hiring someone or like
yeah,
doing some kind of review. So that's why I'm also just like we aren't handling it wrong, but there's no right way to handle it because that is a deliberate choice that someone
well,
took in most cases.
I had that conversation with Richie from 60 Days In. And I asked him straight out, I was like, why? Why is the answer saying that, we don't have any power in ourselves? Why is the answer, oh, I have to hold back to God? Why is it only religious that we can do to beat this? Why are we giving out clean needles on the street and essentially taking away the negative repercussions of this? Why are we taking away every negative from how you push yourself to be a better person or be a more complete individual? We're kind of taking away humanity in that situation and putting it on God. If you fuck up again, was it God that told you to fuck up? Like, whether you're religious or not, that's a fucking weird level to be because then you're accepting that the choice wasn't made by you. So you're still flip flopping back and forth. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to have that level to it.
I mean, I think hearing you talk about this stuff really makes me think about how everybody is different. Like everybody has a different viewpoint on stuff based off like their childhood. Because like the reason my parents split was because like my real father had turned out to be a meth head, and so growing up, my outlook on drugs was just like it ruins families. Like
I'm
that's
the same. I had the same
yeah.
mentality. Can I ask a little bit about that, or is it
Sure.
completely
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. No, I'm an open book.
So did he ever try and get help?
No, he didn't want help. Like I remember my mom saying it was like up to him, like it was totally up to him if he wanted to try and get help. They had offered to help him get help, but he didn't want to. So
Did
he
it?
made his choice.
Did he actually fully remove himself from your life, or was it forced?
I think she gave him like chances, like it would be like he would just all of a sudden like not come home, and then I would hear them arguing on the phone, and then he would like be gone for a few days, and it's like he was probably on a bender or something. And
Oh,
he also was
absolutely.
like, he was also addicted to gambling, so there was like that as well,
Yeah.
But
Well, a lot of those things are so drug into the whole I'm dopamine searching. I'm trying to figure out how to feel okay. I'm trying to feel at a different level than what I genuinely do now, that it's hard to say that it's a disease. And it's hard to say that that person's just broken and they'll always be like that because you're taking away that level of humanity. At some point, you kind of have to be a human and be like, hey, I fucked up, or hey, I'm going to keep fucking up. You're still making the choice. You can't just say, oh, I'm sick. And I don't mean that as a direct attack. I hope you don't see it as that. But like as a whole, it's hard. It's hard because like unless you're going so far down the path that you're doing it daily, how many people genuinely know that you do drugs? Not very many. Not very many. Think of how many people in your life right now that do drugs. Probably multiply that by 3 because that's how many actually do it. It's
yeah.
just like, man, it's it's more hidden than what most people understand, and most people have a way to control it, or at least are able to exist while not controlling it. And meth is
Yeah.
one of those weird ones. Like, that's a more direct, erratic thing that if you're not going so far down the rabbit hole, you're just, existing in a faster life almost. So how far did he go down? Like, we had a meth head on PK a couple weeks ago
I
from
saw.
Gavin.
Yeah.
And like, other than him being extremely erratic, he seemed like a normal guy.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how long he was doing it. I don't know if I've never asked my mom like if she had any idea how long he was doing it. I just know that I was the one who found like he was looking for like a Kodak, one of those old Kodak like disposable film
Yeah.
bottles. And he was like, "It's got my medicine in it. If you find it, don't tell mom." And like first thing I do, because I'm like 7, is like, "Mom, I found dad's medicine." It's meth. So it's like, Jesus, But I don't know. I just know that I mean he was a lineman, like he worked on like the power lines and stuff. So he made good money. And so like
Yeah.
hearing them talk about how like, like all the money's gone, I'm just like, whoa, like
My brothers
confused, like
both
how'd
work
that
on that
happen,
line.
right?
Absolutely.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
but I don't know. I mean, I know when as far as like he pretty much abandoned his 3 kids, like that the drugs and gambling was that bad for him that he just stepped away from everything else.
But
Oh.
was that a line that your mom drew? And I'm not asking that as like, oh, I'm trying to hurt you. I'm asking that as in like a guy to a guy. A lot of times in those situations, it's choose the family or choose what you're doing. And there is no understanding at that point. You're drawing a line. You don't want to get
Yeah.
help, so you need to go away.
I remember when I found the drugs and there was like the huge ordeal about that. Things got better for a short amount of time,
Yeah,
like
because it's
maybe
in the face. Yeah.
yeah, it's the first confrontation. So of course it's like a wake up call. And then things progressively got worse over the course of like, I don't know, 6 months after that. And then like he just like kind of disappeared completely. So,
Yeah, that's really weird, man. I'm really sorry. I didn't
oh
mean
no,
it
I
to go
mean,
that way, but
mhm.
like, did that impact how you handle things in that realm? Obviously, for a while you said you were a pretty hard stance on it, but did it affect you kind of exploring and being a human in those aspects as you grew up?
Well, I mean, I kind of have like a weird journey. I'm sorry. I think my wife's
You're
back
okay.
with the kid. Let me just make sure the
Mhm.
dog's not going to be barking.
Nope, you're good. No, and if I'm squandering, just say something because I'm trying not to hold into the conversation.
No,
But
no. Honestly, with how much content that I do, that's just like random stuff, like talking about myself and my actual life is refreshing. So I don't mind at all. Um, I mean, so my parents split when I was like 7 or 8, and then my mom remarried when I was, like I said, in like middle school, and my stepfather like really like stepped up and like he like adopted us and like he really became my father figure, like seriously. And he was in the Coast Guard, and so I joined the Coast Guard and I served for 6 years, and part of that was counter narcotics. And so I think my stance on drugs has always been like, it's illegal stuff. So I just, why even like you were saying, like why even like if it's illegal, I don't even like bother with it.
did you question alcohol when you became 21? Did you try it? Like, did you feel a drag to it?
I struggled with alcohol a little bit because when I was in San Francisco, I did helicopter search and rescue, and so there was a lot of bridge jumpers and stuff, and so I
Yeah.
was exposed to a lot of like death and body recoveries and stuff. So alcohol was definitely something that I knew I was like it was easy for me to like go overboard with. But like marijuana has been something that's helped me a lot with like my anxiety and like
Yeah.
PTSD and stuff. Like I do see the medicinal benefits to that, but
Oh,
just like
absolutely.
anything, it's moderation, right?
And being able
So
to question yourself. A lot of
yeah,
people genuinely can't. And it's really hard to see. And, there's some people that just go down the hole of I'm gonna drink and I'm gonna smoke and I'm gonna do whatever drugs and I'm gonna end up sleeping on a table because it happens. And it's scary. And first off, congratulations on actually making it out. A lot of people don't do that step by itself. But the fact that you struggled with it showed that it's actually a dopamine searching situation.
Yeah. I think it
And
was
it's probably
also,
the same with your dad.
yeah. Well, I mean, I know his family was, we went to visit like his whole family for like a reunion like one time. And I just remember everybody was just like drunk the whole time. Like they definitely all struggled with alcohol. But I think for me, the alcohol thing was a lot of just like the military environment, because that's the only thing you can do in the military is drink alcohol. And so that's like anytime people got off work, it was just like, let's go get shit faced until we can't anymore because, we have work the next day. And so that environment, like as soon as I turned 21, it was like, oh, we have an excuse to go get blackout drunk tonight, And then like right away, I'm just like doing that all the time with my coworkers. So it definitely wasn't like I don't know if I would have went down that road as much as I did if I wasn't in the military,
Yeah, and I think it's a very, very easy road when it's showcased to you as, oh, well, this is okay. It's weird when you think of it that way. It's like, oh, the military says that this thing's acceptable.
Yeah, this is the easiest dopamine that we're allowed to have.
Yeah, it's legal. So
it's strippers and alcohol.
good.
It's like, go have fun, go get drunk. It's like, oh, I'm 18. Oh, well, you show them your military ID and they kind of accept it. And it's just like, guys, no, 21 always for everything if this is how we're going to treat it, because, it's sad. But it's interesting to see, oh, yeah, I had the same struggle. I had this struggle here that followed me here because, it's not just a, person to person thing. There's more than just trauma that impacts that search for dopamine of like, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that. It's kind of finding a way to have a balance to, okay, I can hold myself accountable to this level. If I can't hold myself accountable, I get the fuck out of the situation. And it's like a lot of people with those addictions, like your dad, like a lot of other people, will kind of just dive into them face first, where they'll make themselves a functioning addict. My aunt, she runs a cleaning business, which is the sketchiest thing for an addict, honestly. And I said this from day one. And she ended up coming over to my mom's house when we were living together. And she lost her drugs in my house. And I lost my fucking mind. Like, I have 2 kids running around, and you're like, oh, yeah, I lost my medication bottle. And I looked at her and said, well, what is it? She's like, well, it's cocaine. Why the fuck did you bring cocaine into my house? I'm thoroughly surprised that this conversation didn't happen with anybody else in this situation. I'm 20, but I'm going to have this conversation now and I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, well, it's your mother's birthday. I said, and you do cocaine? Do you think my mom does cocaine? Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? There's 2 little kids in the house that are mine and my sister who's not much older. And then you have my middle sister who's fucking, what, 14, 15 at the time? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That you can't go so far as, oh, I'm going to go enjoy time with other people, that fucking cocaine is your answer. She's like, well, I didn't need a lecture. I don't care if you need
it's like you actually needed this lecture because you have no fucking awareness.
She then kind of pushed it. And she's like, so as a whole, Zach, all of your aunts come to your house and do this. They'll go into your bathroom, they'll use the back of your toilet, and they'll do this. Okay, first off, now none of you are welcome in my life. Let me just fucking say it outward. And it's just like, second off, now I'm looking for a pill bottle with a razor blade and fucking cocaine in it because you wanted to lose it in my house where there's 2 little kids in it and they can pick something up and run wherever the fuck they please. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, deflecting blame, not taking accountability. It's like, man, people.
Oh, she then, how she was she would get drunk like 2 or 3 times a month. And that time when she was drunk, she expected everyone else to keep her entertained while she was coked up and drunk. Because she would get drunk and then do cocaine and then get drunk and do cocaine. And it was like 2 or 3 days. And she would sit on the phone with whoever would answer the phone first for the next 8 to 10 hours of absolutely mind numbing, horrible, ridiculous conversations.
Yep.
And it's insane. So I understand your point, man. It's hell. I had very, very similar things happen. So
Yeah. I mean, people will say like, "Oh, I don't have a problem. I can take care of myself." But like your situation, like when it becomes a problem for other people, you have a problem. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You lost your Coke.
Yeah. Normal people
Okay.
don't have that issue.
So honestly, what is that? Like a pill bottle worth of Coke, like $800? How often do you lose your phone, you fucking retard? It's more dangerous than that. I don't know, man. Like it doesn't make sense. And it's sad because like honestly, she's the scumbag of the family. The aunt that she was talking about is one of them that actually made something of herself. And I know she does too. So as a whole, it's like, okay, so it impacts so many people. It impacts a lot of people in different ways and impacts some people the same way. Both of them do the same exact thing. They'll sit on the phone with you for 8 to 10 hours and hope that you don't get mad and hang up. And it's just like, guys, nope, I don't want any of you in my life. I don't want it. When I came out against my mom and all of those problems, she randomly commented high and drunk on the YouTube video, and she's like, "How could you speak negatively of your mother?" Blah 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 blah. Like, that's why I did it, because nobody else said that there was a problem. That's why. Nobody else wanted to hold anybody accountable. So I got the front end of the stick because everybody now wants to say that I'm the bad guy because now it's everybody against me. It's crazy. Accountability sucks. Accountability sucks when you're the only one that has it. So on a much lighthearted topic, when does being lighthearted and childish become weird for a guy?
That's a question I've been thinking about because, like, suddenly I became 30, and I'm still playing Pokemon for a living, and I like being a dork, but
and I feel like it
seems like that's not acceptable.
Or is that just me kind of coping? And that's...
No, I think it's still not acceptable. Like, you'll still be a little too weird. Like, that's what I mean. That's why I'm thinking about, because I'm like, people have a different expectation.
Pokemon are not changing. I understand where that would be weird. But being fun and jovial and watching cartoons on Saturday morning at 40 or 30 was weird when we were watching Full House. They used to make fun of Joey for this.
Mm-hmm. Like, unless you have a kid, you're not allowed to watch cartoons past like 30.
How many guys that are 30 now only watch anime?
Oh, geez.
I mean, anime's
like all of
different because,
like,
no, that's definitely more mature. Like a kid's show. Like if you're watching SpongeBob at 35, that's different than watching like Attack on Titan.
Yeah, that's the first thing.
But also watching SpongeBob at 35 is different than watching My Little Pony. My Little Pony's fucking weird.
Okay, same thing.
SpongeBob has a lot of adult overtones. So at what point does being lighthearted and joking and jovial about...
Well, actually, not modern SpongeBob. Modern SpongeBob's like dumbed down a couple years.
You see what I'm saying, though, is like now it seems like there's levels to it. And I'm trying not to be coping about it.
Because Ren and Stimpy was made for adults. So, I mean, like a 30-year-old watching Ren and Stimpy when it first came out, that was fine. I think it's like, yeah, it depends on the cartoon. But a lot of cartoons are skewing a lot younger and a lot more dumbed down.
But it's weird now. Now it's weird. We have 30-year-olds playing Pokemon and video games all day, every day, pretty much.
I mean, they were doing that back in 2005, where like you go to a card shop and there's like two sweaty old dudes.
But now it's no longer like 2 sweaty old dudes. Now there's 15 or 20 people there every day, all day. And it's different now. So is it still wrong? Is it still not okay? Or is it there just a point where it's no longer weird that
it still feels wrong, but it's definitely not weird.
It's not as weird, I think.
Yeah, it seems like culture shifted a bit. It seems like it's more acceptable. It's just weird. It's weird to kind of look at it and be like, oh, you know, the biggest demographic for toy purchases is actually 25 to 35, not for children.
I mean, that's also adults buying it for their kids, or depending on when they come to money.
Yeah, it's also 25 to 35-year-olds finally getting the things from their childhood they wanted.
Yeah.
Except that's going to be like secondary market in a lot of cases. I know in a lot of cases.
Not from what statistics are showing. They're showcasing that our demographic purchases toys more and for self more.
But is
ever before.
Like, is it actually showing like for singles? Like,
yes.
Is it a single person? I need to see those actual facts because my life inside of Pokemon is Pokemon Sword and Shield has sold 26 million copies, but I know that's more kids than adults.
I mean,
keep talking. I'm trying to.
And then
that's.
It probably depends on what it is, you know. Like, I mean, because I have friends. They have like a room like dedicated to like, you know, Marvel action figures and stuff, but those are like collectibles. Like I know there's some people who buy toys because they're expecting it to. Yeah. I feel like it's so much less likely for something like that to gain value. Like they make so many more toys now, you know, than they did. I feel like when it comes to that kind of stuff, but like maybe it's an excuse for some people. Oh, it's a collectible, but you know they're really just like hoarding these toys because they didn't.
I want the graph or like the actual like chart of this because Zach posted.
I'm looking
nearly half. So 43% of adults purchased a toy for themselves in the past year for a number of reasons: collecting, socialization, enjoyment. But I mean, like just a toy, like it's maybe
so
one or
it
two.
Says adults account for more toy sales than preschoolers.
Well,
so I'm trying to find the graph currently, but I'm trying to find one that I actually say, okay, well, this actually looks like it's making sense. And, you know, obviously there's also
what counts as a toy, because there's definitely like adult collectibles when the Star Wars figure is $300. Like that's made for an adult that watched Star Wars back in when it came out.
And
here's another one. 58% of parents report buying toys for themselves. So that's also a trend as well.
That's still going to be a majority of sales for the kids.
The Toy Association first identified this trend catering to cadults, consumers in not just for kids trend at the start of 2021. Bloomberg included the results of an association survey of more than 2,000 parents across the U.S. and found that 58% report buying toys and games for themselves and not just their kids. So it's also involving yourself within the things that you're giving your kids as well, I assume. Of the types of toys and games parents reportedly purchase for themselves, board games ranking the highest at 65%, followed by
that like immediately discounts it then, because even adults are buying
61%, collectibles 53%, and video games 53%. So they're also including video games, which is why I assume the statistic makes
sense. I mean, like that's why I don't trust this, because like, a toy, well now you just account for everyone, including the weirdo that's only buying stuff for themselves, even though it's like 5%. And then board games, Yahtzee, that's not a kid's thing, or Monopoly. You got to replace the Monopoly because you're having game night and like your wine night with all of your adult friends. And then video games, I buy Elden Ring. I'm a child now.
The top 10 most popular toys for adults. 10th, Prism NFL trading card.
Trading cards count as toys? Nah, the whole thing is bullshit.
9, Squishmallow plush 11-inch assortment. 8, NFL trading cards again. Obviously, people trying to find signatures and stuff like that, I would assume. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Paldean Fates, Squishmallow plush 12-inch assortment. Icon's Tiny Plans. I don't know what the fuck that is. Icon Bouquet of Roses. Squishmallow 16-inch assortment. Number 2, Hot Wheels singles, and number 1, Squishmallow plush 8-inch assortment.
I mean, Hot Wheels, the adults were buying those in the 90s and 80s to collect those. So, I mean, like, see, it's all bullshit. It's not adults are buying kid things. It's like, no, they're widening what a kid's thing is, and it's the same shit they've always been buying. Like, adults were buying Beanie Babies in the 90s because they thought it was going to go up.
So it seems like the things that we're kind of holding on to and we're buying still are the things that we still bought as kids. We still bought packs of Pokemon cards. We went from buying 1 pack to buying 36 of them. That's the difference. Is we went from buying 1 pack at 5 to being 25 and buying 36 packs at the same time. That's the difference. But the thing is our age. In 20 years, we went from buying 1 to 36 of them.
I mean, I think it makes sense that, like adults obviously are going to spend more money on those things because they can, but like it's such a hard thing to like
Quantify.
yeah,
I think saying
yeah.
like kid-adult is just wrong.
I've never
Yeah, no.
heard that term before.
Me either.
And-
I think they're just kind of
But I mean but that does
shoehorning it
describe what this is supposed to be.
Or
how
it
it's trying
says
to be looked at.
nostalgic adult fans are passionate and engaged in the brands that they love, especially ones from their childhood, and the ones that they loved as
Squishmallows didn't
kids.
exist in our childhood.
Yes, but the characters that Squishmallows are, the like licensed ones, like
Mhm.
Pokemon or things
And
like
also
that,
like how
would
much
then tie
is this
back.
sorting out for like singles or parents or something? Because like Squishmallows being a big purchase like that has to be for kids. Like they're buying it for their kids.
Not always. Not always.
I know, but like an
88%.
adult isn't going to be cuddling a Squishmallow, and that's if that's number one, then that means buying a booster box of Pokemon cards is like so shoved down that's like, oh, there's a different weirdness that we're not touching on. Like it's
Oh.
just the data's fucked. The data cannot determine anything that makes sense from this.
Oh yeah, there is much more littles now than there was in 1950. Let's just state that. Being a little in 1950 and running around as a 30-year-old woman sucking on a binky, that didn't happen in 1950. That
still
happens
barely
now.
happens now.
But
Pretty
it
rare.
does happen. It does happen. Those motherfuckers probably buy Squishmallows.
And
They're
furries
probably the
existed in,
weirder
like, the
edge of
80s.
furries. But so a Lego group spokesman told the current
Legos for collectors because they grow up and say, "Oh, that set's $1,000
Yes.
now, so I'm going to buy 3 of them now that I'm an adult."
88% of grown-up respondents played with Lego products to help them relax. 89% of them said it helped them stay mentally sharp, and 90% of them said it helped them be more creative. That part I don't fucking agree with. There is no fucking way that you guys are just randomly building Lego houses and being like, her. Yeah, I play with the entire box of Legos. You're buying the sets, you fucking weirdo. Stop saying you're being creative. You're following instructions. Go build your IKEA furniture like a normal adult. Oh my God.
IKEA furniture's cheaper.
We're excited more and more adults are playing and building with Legos, inspired by play experiences that align with their passions like automotive, sports, entertainment, and crafts, especially our botanical range. We can enjoy in the mindfulness that comes with manual tasks like building Lego bricks. Motherfucker, let me just say this. If hypothetical single Zach walked into a girl's house and instead of real plants, they had fucking Lego plants everywhere, I would walk the fuck back out of the house right the second I walked into it.
I think you're
no
wrong.
fucking way.
I think like the whole like that when they said like the botanical, like that's actually
I think they're
neat,
lying.
and that's
I think
more
they're-
adult skewed. No, like botanical's huge. You'd be surprised at like how many plants they have and how many people are buying it.
Yes, but are guys buying it or are females buying it?
It does. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, so what? Women are buying it. They're still adults. They still count, and they're
No.
half the population in the demographic.
What I'm saying is men making Lego things, like making the Hogwarts castle or whatever.
I mean, they have straight up machines. You can build a robot out of Legos. That's just like building a robot as an adult in the 90s, where you wire
But
shit
if you
together.
walked in, but I think it's just as much of an ick for a female to walk into a guy's house and there to be Legos on a shelf behind their TV, as it would be for you walking into a house and seeing Lego roses put on the.
No, I'd be like,
the
yo, that's cool.
kitchen
They do
table.
crafts. That's just crafts. Instead of like scrapbooking, they're making Lego plants. It's the same thing that happened in the 90s. It's not a kid adult. It's not a kid product. It's made for adults.
I agree with you completely. I agree. I'm just
So I'd be
saying
like,
that
oh, you know
it's-
how to make things. That's neat. I find that interesting. And it's like, this rose actually looks cool. Tell me about this Lego set I didn't know about.
It's a legitimate hobby.
and I could see that. I
I think it's an adult hobby that's legitimate. And it's not a toy at that point.
Yeah, I don't think Legos at this point with all of the kits are for kids. I don't think the kits are for kids at all.
Yeah,
But
So
it's
not
weird
kids
that
buy,
it's
or it's not adult
most,
buying kid stuff.
yeah, I think it's an adult buying an adult thing that's schemed as a kid thing. Just like model cars back in the day. How many fucking model cars were in the toy aisles when you walked into fucking Walmart back in the day? Do you really think that those were for kids? I started building them and then I was like, wait, this is really fucking boring. I don't want to do this anymore. Did you guys do that? Like, oh, I'm going to build a model car today.
I like
Yeah,
playing with Legos.
I did that once or twice, like like an actual model car, like from like
yeah, like
Hobby,
the plastic
like
ones that
Hobby
you like
Lobby or
snap
something.
together or glue together. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that a few times.
Bro, look at this. This shit's cool as fuck.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not cool.
Then why would you be offended if a girl had one? Instead of
What I was
having a
saying
cactus
was-
in the corner, now they have like a Lego cactus that looks pretty neat.
What I'm saying is,
Build a garden.
If I walked into a girl's house and I saw a plant there, I'd be like, okay, she probably doesn't take care of it, and it's like half dead more than likely. But if I walked in and I saw a big ass fucking ficus that was made out of Legos, I would be like, why the fuck is there a ficus Lego here in the corner of your room?
See, to me, it's the other way around, where it's just like, oh, you just got some plants.
Both of them to me are weird.
Where it's
both
like,
of them to me
wow,
are
you,
kind of
you
disconnected.
built this product I didn't even know existed. That's kind of cool.
That part of it, yes. I would ask more about the Legos. I'm not saying you're wrong there. I'm just saying as a whole, if I walked in and saw a bouquet of Lego roses instead of normal roses, I would be confused. I'd be sort of uncomfortable because it's like you're trying to be jokey about it, but at the same time,
No,
it's
Zach,
weird.
put that Lego image on screen so everyone can just say you're wrong.
Okay. Yep. I never said I wasn't wrong. Never said I wasn't wrong.
I don't care. I want the comments to tell you you're wrong because that's the coolest thing I've seen all day.
There you go,
I
guys.
literally I got my mom one of those, like not one of those specific ones, but like I mean she's a teacher, so like it's for her classroom or whatever. But I don't know, I think there's a difference between like showing up and it's like, oh, here's some like Lego things here and there, and like they have like a room dedicated to Legos, and it's like Legos everywhere, and you sit down on the couch and you're like sitting on Lego pieces. Like there's a difference.
No, that's what I'm saying is like, it seems like as a whole, kid adults are becoming more common across both genders.
I don't consider this a kid thing. This is an
No.
adult product.
We use Legos as kids, so we then held on to Legos as adults, is what
I find
it is.
Legos cooler now as an adult than kids with all this stuff.
It's nostalgic.
I think the products have also upgraded to be more
Yeah.
appealing.
That's
Cooler.
my point. That's my point, obviously.
That's not
Which is
nostalgia.
why more adults are buying kid
Mhm.
their classification of kid things.
Yeah, it's not
We played
nostalgia. Though. It's
Pokemon
just like,
TC
shit, this is better.
Yeah, we played Pokemon TCG, we played Yu-Gi-Oh TCG, and both of them have had a resurgence in the past couple of years. It's not just kids buying it, it's us buying it as well, or there wouldn't have been as high of a resurgence.
I disagree on that because I think the general trend is like there's just more kids and everyone has a smartphone.
No,
Like,
death rate, child birth rate's going down, bud. There's not more
there's
kids
still,
now.
but there's still like more under 18 now than there were in the 90s, right? There's got to
No.
be.
No.
Or at least like some kind of financial accessibility from all this because with like more people are playing games on Steam. It's like, well, why weren't more kids playing games?
Because
on Steam
more
a decade ago?
generations are playing. I
don't think
think
it's
that it's
expanded that hard. I
expanding
think-
around generations.
I think it's expanding around kids.
Because now
Steam?
they're adding next generation instead of trying to catch the people that were behind.
Because again, baby boomers.
And there's
though,
more
like they're dropping
accessibility
off.
to PCs and stuff too. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because there is correlation to it. It's interesting.
Mhm.
Oh, here, toy sales dropped 1% from January through April, year after year, but they're 38% higher than 2019.
Yeah, it's because like COVID. Everyone's letting in their COVID spending.
Still now. 38% higher does not make sense if it's still from COVID.
It does. I think because like again, like I said, like it's just been going up for everything. Like it might be just more people holding on to it, but
I think it's more people interacting and purchasing or purchasing the things to hold on. And that kind of goes to this. This was from February. This link right here. So everybody says Call of Duty's dying. Everybody says that, this thing's falling apart and it's going to fall. Top 10 games played on PlayStation 5 ranked by monthly active users. Call of Duty was number 2. Behind Fortnite. The only game that is ahead of it is Fortnite. It's crazy. Oh, wait, you might say that's a PlayStation only problem. No, Call of Duty was number 2. It even passed POW World. And then also year-to-year physical game data as a whole. The only game that is in front of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 as of February is Helldivers 2.
Yes, I found an actually interesting chart. Percentage of children in the U.S. population. So in the 90s, it was 63 million, 2000, 72 million, 2010, 74 million, 2020, 73 million. So it has gone up a little bit, but I also think there is just more kids that are like participating now because every kid has a smartphone. Back in 2000, 2010, not everyone even had internet. So there were
I
less
think
kids
I
accessible
think
to
there's
games.
that, and then, and I don't know if this is me kind of looking at it and seeing it happen so often then, and it wasn't really often, but it seemed like a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds were dying quickly then. Like they just either got sick and died, or
Yeah,
like there
like
was more mortality then in the 90s and early
with the
2000s,
obesity
and
boom and a
now.
lot of like
Yeah.
cardiovascular disease for the boomers, yeah.
So to me, it seems like us being alive in our 30s and 40s, there's not as much of a drop off with those people falling off. So once again, you're introducing generations that are more solidified and still solidified in the things that are for sale. Like the generation before us can buy one pack of Lincoln Logs, and that sustains them for their entire life. We're buying specific things for specific brands that we enjoy that change yearly.
Yeah, like I said, because the products are just better.
Yeah,
And they're
exactly.
catered to adults.
And they're
not
growing.
toys.
Yeah, and the kid things are still part of those things, so it's cycling with itself and growing it massively. But I don't think we still have answered the question of when does being lighthearted and childish become weird?
I think
Because I don't think it's 30 anymore. I don't think it's 30. I don't think it's 30 at all.
I think there's a spectrum of how childish and weird too. Like you were saying, there's the extreme case where it's like somebody wearing a diaper and having a binky and they're 40 years old. Like that's pretty rare.
Yeah, that's
but
gross. That's weird
yeah,
as a whole, always. But like in normal terms, there is things that are not there in the 90s. At least more accessible. There's toys and cartoons and shows that are made in that vein that are for us. So it's not weird anymore. To me at least.
I don't
How
think
many
it's that weird to
how many dudes still watch wrestling at 40, 50 years old? They know it's fake, but they enjoy the story. Is that made for
That's
kids?
not like kids and toys stuff. It's made for adults when you have like this big old dude beating up on another person.
It's made for teenagers, but yeah, I
I
understand
mean,
your point.
but it was always for adults. Adults liked it
storylines
back in the 80s and 90s. Like that's
Yeah,
all the
the
adult
storylines
carryover.
are for adults, and then the action and interaction of people is for kids. You see people like John Cena blow up at the beginning for adults, and then when he becomes Super Cena and everybody wants a colored shirt, that was for kids. Like there's different levels to it. So it's like, okay, Superman fights, but you have a Superman tattoo. You know what I'm saying?
That's
There's
not
different
jovial
levels to it.
stuff. That's not jovial kids stuff at that point.
I know that's my point though.
It's
Is
like
we're holding on to
you're not
those.
supposed to be an adult that has like childish glee and emotion still. I don't think there's too much more acceptance. A little bit, yeah, because just of how like online culture has warped society and stuff, but it's not like you can be a kid forever.
No, I don't think being a kid forever is a thing anymore anyway. But I do think that there's more availability to the people that weren't there before. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me because I'm deranged and play video games still. That I'm like, yeah, it has to be that way. But it seems like most guys still don't give it up. Is it weird? I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's weird to still play video games. I didn't think it was weird day one. I still don't.
But again, like as we saw, like some of the video games just count as toys. Like Call of Duty is not a kid's game. You're shooting and killing people, and like you play that into your
Fortnite
30s because
technically
it's war
shouldn't be too.
simulation. Like war simulation as a 30-year-old is not a kid like carrying kid behavior into your adulthood.
Well, normal adult behavior at 30 is deciding if you're going to go on a World War II doc binge or if you're going to learn how to smoke meats. That's the only choice that you're allowed at 30 years old as a man. You got to choose one or both, but you have to choose one of them. Which one did you guys choose? Danny, you got to make your decision soon so that way.
I guess I'm gonna smoke meats. I don't know.
Not.
I mean,
not
World
going
War
into
II
history?
docs are dope,
Yeah,
but why can't I do both?
you can do
Yeah.
both. You just have to choose one
Yeah.
of them. It's a minimum game. You got to choose at least one. Verlis went back and never mind. I'm not making that joke. What hugely popular food do you guys hate that everyone loves?
Tomatoes.
Mustard, pickles.
I hate
Tomatoes.
tomatoes.
Do you
A
not
lot of people
like?
don't like tomatoes. I don't like
Do you
tomatoes.
not like tomato soup or spaghetti or like
I
anything with tomatoes? Or is it just the texture
I don't
of
like
tomatoes is
tomatoes.
gross?
I don't like them as like a extra topping. Like I'm not gonna like go out of my way to put tomatoes
Okay,
on my
that's
burger.
normal. That's
Yeah.
absolutely normal.
But like I know
I-
people who legitimately eat tomatoes like apples.
Oh,
I could never do
Those
that
people are
shit.
weird.
Yeah, they're
Those
the
people are
outliers.
weird.
Yeah,
They're
I guess
the
that is the
outliers.
weird side of it. But
This is a coin flip one. I cannot stand mayonnaise. I cannot stand the smell of it. I cannot stand the texture of it. It is fucking gross.
I feel like
And that
Miracle
is
Whip.
like
I'm
a coin
neutral
flip.
on mayonnaise. Sometimes I'm just like, no, this
All
is the
mayonnaise.
worst thing. I don't want it. Other times, like, it worked and it elevated the food I had.
Like I grew up with people dipping French fries in mayonnaise instead of ketchup or barbecue sauce. Yeah, I know that's a New England.
That's
thing.
on
I get
commercials
it.
and shit. Like, that's a
Yeah.
normal thing.
Yeah,
But
I mean people put it on hot
to
dogs.
me, mayonnaise,
That's weird.
gross, fucking gross.
No,
The other
mustard
thing-
and pickles. Anything with vinegar, I don't do.
The other thing is a big one, and I should have brought this up when Harley was here. I don't fucking like bacon. I don't like bacon at all. I don't like
Okay,
any.
so
breakfast
everything
food,
you've
but
said
bacon-
in every episode up to this point is immediately discounted.
I don't like the smell of maple, and the texture of bacon when I've had it is gross, which is the problem. I probably could cook bacon myself, and I probably would like.
Yeah, don't get
but-
maple smoked, like fake maple flavor bacon, and then just get like natural bacon and cook it to a texture you feel is appropriate.
Yeah, you can cook it to your liking.
Yeah,
It could be dry and
that-
crunchy or rubbery.
That's
or
that's me
whatever.
being understanding and saying, okay, I probably just didn't like the way it was given to me, but I don't. As of this point, I have not had it and liked it so far. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because there are some things that some people are like, that's fucking gross. The other thing, pineapple on pizza. If it's not fucking Italian, it doesn't fucking go on pizza. You fucking.
I mean, pineapple on
weirdos.
pizza is just wrong. Cheese and citrus doesn't, well, not citrus, but like that sharp fruit flavor doesn't belong.
I don't like mixing like sweet spicy.
I
I
do.
like it being one or the other.
I like
I don't like
mixed
it
up.
being. So what? Like, there's a sandwich at Burger King, worst fucking fast food restaurant. Fight me. I will prove you wrong. We've all the internet's agreed on this. Q short from 3 years ago when Brillis agreed and we all called it out at once. And it literally drop of the dime, all of us, Burger King. Worst
Yeah,
fast
Zach was
food.
like, oh, what's the worst fast food place? And then like everyone at the same time just said Burger King without any rehearsal or any
Nobody
cue.
thought about it. It was just randomly brought up. They have this chicken sandwich that is the spicy chicken sandwich, and you'd be like, okay, so it's buffalo chicken. Get that the fuck out of your mind. It's wrong. It's absolutely fucking wrong. They smother this thing in fucking brown sugar and then coat it with fucking normal basic bitch hot sauce. It is more sweet than it is spicy, and that is disgusting. Sweet and spicy do not go together.
No, I think like, well, it depends because I don't like a sweet and sour sauce, but if you just have like teriyaki has that umami sweetness with a little bit of savoriness, like Japanese
I don't
barbecue
like
sauce.
teriyaki.
Then you're just
Don't like-
wrong.
No, I haven't found a teriyaki I like. Let me just say it that way.
Jalapeno jam. You ever tried that?
No, I
That-
haven't.
You should.
I'd be
It's
all right
bomb.
with that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'd probably try that because it's just bread. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are you putting jam on other than a piece of toast or something like that?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like a topping. It's not like how the whole thing tastes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not to me. I might try that. Like the other thing, as far as toast goes, top tier toast topping, put cream cheese on it like a bagel, and then take some cinnamon sugar and sprinkle that shit on top of it. That's the best way to have toast.
Mm.
You never had cinnamon toast as a kid for breakfast? It just
Not with
upgrades
cream
it.
cheese.
Yeah, that was
No.
cream cheese, but
The butter makes it stick and you don't taste the butter. The cream cheese is like you're eating a cinnamon raisin bagel. It's fucking fantastic. It's a way to upgrade it. I had to find millions of ways to use bread back in the day because, sometimes the only thing that was there was bread. Okay, so I have a link here for you. Oh, no. I hate that this is not a link. It's one of those little tabby things. I have a link for you. You get to choose one of these stories that I will tell. The only one you cannot choose is number 1, but I have to have them in order so that way I don't lose them. Feel free to choose one of those, and I will tell the story as we end the podcast. But yeah, no, that's my favorite way to have toast is using cream cheese and cinnamon toast. It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there to look at.
Yep.
Zach has many stories.
Oh, I have more. I need to add more. I have like 40, 50 more from back in the day and like 40 or 50 more from the past 4 years because I haven't added any.
Okay, I'm going to pick the one that looks like the most uninteresting. What is first apartment? Is it like...
There's no such thing as uninteresting with Zach and his story.
No, my life is fucking weird. So I have to go back a little bit beforehand. Mom, if you're watching, click off now. It's negative. But so I graduated high school with a kid already. So have that stance and understanding to the baseline of things. So we were living in an apartment with my family. So it was my mom, my stepdad, and my 2 sisters, me, my girlfriend, and our baby. And all of us were living there at the time. And then I graduated high school, and my mom got offered to purchase one of my grandparents' trailer because they passed away. And instead of putting us in that trailer and letting us grow from there and them continue to buy a house or whatever, they decided to move into it, which is fine, whatever. That's the choice, but that's what they decided to do. That's where it gets fucked up. Instead of paying the bills when they decided to make that choice and staying with us for the last 2 months of school, they just stopped paying all of the bills, all of them. All of them weren't paid. They said, okay, well, Zach, you have until October when the lease is up. We're not paying anything until after that point. Okay. Graduated high school in June, and I believe it was it was September or October when we had to leave, when court finally happened for me to become emancipated and my scumbag of a sperm donor to be absolved of his parental rights. Because as a man, you may not know this, you are not emancipated after having a child, and a woman is. A woman becomes an adult because they have a kid. A man is not. You actually have to emancipate yourself in most states. Dumb little fucking thing. But then we moved in with her parents for like 2 or 3 months, and we were trying to find our footing and stuff like that. And they decided, okay, well, we will pay the first month and security for an apartment for you guys. So that way you guys can move out on your own and you guys can have your own place and stuff like that. And that happened in like January. And it was weird. It was great. It was, you know how like everything lines up in life and you're just like, this thing needs to happen. So my first house that I remember is my grandparents' house on this specific road and this specific little cul-de-sac of houses. I got to move into one of the houses near my grandparents' old house. Like it was, fuck, that's a connection. Like that place called to me. It had to be that place. And we got that apartment. We got the house that was 2 houses down from my grandparents' house. The house that was my dream to own. The house that I want to own. So that was cool. And it's like, okay, the entire community knew me. They remembered me back from when I was 2 or 3 years old before my grandparents moved. They remembered me still coming over from my aunt living in that same cul-de-sac. So I still had family there and stuff like that. So I was accepted with like open arms. It was like, oh, the prodigal son has returned. He's supposed to be part of this community. So we move in. Oh, here's a couch. Here's Zach, come help us move this 65-inch TV. You can have it for your bedroom. Like we're moving into a little cul-de-sac where all these people built businesses, were heads of things, and they're just like, we bought modular homes and put them together so that way we have this own little place. We're going to upgrade you because you moved in. And then things got bad. So my landlord was my lunch lady from when I was a kid. She was the lunch lady that just hung out and was like the stereotypical grandma that would just be like weird and just quirky and just kind of off, and you weren't really sure what was wrong with her, but she was kind. We realized that the weird part was fucking wine. This bitch was the biggest wine drunk I've ever seen in my fucking life. And her husband was one of those stereotypical Polish people who only makes jokes about Polish people. And I didn't understand why Polish people made jokes about Polish people. I didn't understand why they were looked down upon. Still kind of really don't. So, first weird thing that happened, he told me to get in his golf cart and he drove up to get the mail. So we drove up, got the mail. He proceeded to drive me around the entire town and not town, cul-de-sac, and meet every other person that I didn't know. This was like 4 months into us living there. I already essentially knew everybody. He went to the far reaches of the cul-de-sac and made us meet those guys. Like the little white trash trailer that was off to the side that nobody talked to. Just he's like, you meet them now. Okay, whatever. Then about 3 months later, we realized something was weird in our lease. And obviously, all states are different in this. Don't take this as legal advice for your state. This is for New York. They were allowed to enter our premises without warning. That absolves the lease right there. That is an illegal lease. You cannot hold that. That is breaking and entering. They entered our house and they're like, okay, we're allowed to inspect your apartment at any chance. And we had a standalone trailer. It wasn't an apartment, but everything's called an apartment. So they inspected our apartment monthly because we were under the age of 18, and they decided that that was an equal way for us to be okay and live there because it was their parents' trailer and they fixed it up and they're finally renting it out. Then it got weirder. My girlfriend at the time, my wife, had a mental breakdown. We went through a huge relationship turmoil and she attempted. And they didn't like the fact that I called the ambulance. They're like, well, we can't have ambulances here. What the fuck is your problem? Like, that's zero fucking compassion, you wine mom. And it got weird. It got weird because that wasn't the worst part. Them telling me not to call an ambulance when somebody's attempting suicide isn't the worst part. Then we go to my mom's this one night and we started getting Facebook messages. What the fuck's your problem, you fucking cow? What the fuck's your problem, you fucking cunt? From the daughter-in-law. All of these people have weird ass fucking names. If I said their first name, some of them, if you're in the circle, you'll know exactly who it is because there's nobody that's ever been named these things before, ever. They get weird. So we pulled, like, this cul-de-sac is essentially a U with like a tail that comes off the end. So we pulled down the hill and go down our road. And as we go around this corner, which is right before our driveway, all of them come out to my parents' car and start banging on the windows, calling my girlfriend a fucking cunt. Let me fist fight you, blah, 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 blah. I have 2 babies in the car. I have my oldest, who's just turning 2 at this point, and a baby who was just born like 4 or 5 months ago. And I still have that spicy ghetto streak in me of like, if a fist fight's going down, you guys are going in the house, I'll handle this. My girlfriend's like, no, just get in the house. Let's all get in the house. Okay. We'll just get in the house. So we get in, we pull up to our trailer, and I get all 3 of them inside. I go to get the baby a bottle, and I hear bang as the door fully fucking opens. Our door to our porch. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are coming up here. And I'm waiting for a knock, and I was going to handle the problem. And before I even moved, before a knock happened, before my girlfriend moved, before we even fully reacted to the door being pushed and slammed open, they had their keys in our door and they broke into our apartment and started fucking arguing with us, saying that that my girlfriend's a fucking cunt. The wine drunk. lunch lady that I had for all of my childhood breaks into my house. So they're like, well, we're evicting you, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to deal with a mental case in this cul-de-sac. I was like, well, that's breaking a lease. Are you going to pay us? Find an eviction notice. Do it. Go do it. So they bring us to eviction court because at this point, they break into our house. I'm not paying you rent. Go fuck yourself. You're not going to just have open rights to my house whenever the fuck you feel like. Go fuck yourself. So just the husband goes to court, which hilarious that you don't go to court because you're a fucking wine mom who's in control over everything. Hilarious you don't have the balls to do that. We go to court. He walks up. So I gave them a full tank of fuel oil. He didn't. He said it was a present for our first apartment. He's like, we want you guys to get off on the right foot. This will help you. Here's a full tank of fuel for your apartment. Great. Oh, no, Your Honor, $1,000 they owe us. The fuck's your problem? What the fuck is your problem? Oh, they also owe 6 months of rent because we haven't received rent any of these months. And I said, Your Honor, rent was received here, here, and here. Here's the receipts. I didn't pay this month because they said that they were evicting us, and I'm not going to pay for somewhere where they don't want us. They broke into our apartment numerous times, told us that we had to be available at any time for them to walk into our apartment. And he looks at them and says, Sir, is this right? He says, absolutely not. I said, really? Bullshit. Here's the lease. Look, it says it right here. He said, oh, so you have an unenforceable lease. I'm releasing you from the lease. I'm releasing you from your court appointed. Oh, you have to pay for this fuel oil. That was a gift because he brings receipts. You don't. You have no paper trail of anything because they paid you in cash like you asked them to. You gave him receipts. You do not cross go. You do not collect $200. Get the fuck out of my house. Get the fuck out of my courthouse. You have 3 days, sir. Leave.